What up, people? I'm Jason from Winterpixel, and today I'm going to implement this user interface in the Godot game engine. So I haven't really looked at this before. I've looked at it, but I haven't really started implementing it, so I don't really have a plan. So it's going to be pretty improvised, but I have a pretty powerful toolkit of UI tools that I've made to help develop this kind of stuff. So generally, I think the plan is to make one of these nodes first with the plus and minus buttons, and make the dialog around it with no implementation, and then uh, work on adding. This will go all the way to adding the loadout, the code to store the data for the loadout. So basically, this user interface is a bunch of weapons and perks, and you can click plus to add to buy a weapon uh, in exchange for coins. And you store the resulting loadout down here. And then when we hit play, we've got to send that to a game server and put it into the game. So let's get started. Hopefully everybody can hear me and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm going to start by making a new inherited scene of a dialogue, which I believe is in UI nodes, UI dialog. I'm going to rename the root node to UI loadout dialog and save the scene. UI nodes folder is fine. Okay, I'm going to put this on screen OBS mode so that I can swap between GIMP and Godot. So now I'm going to actually grab the purple color from the background. Actually, we have a purple. Put that in there. So I'm going to add a new swatched modulate, which is it's kind of the color controlling custom node that I've added that controls the color of its parent. And then I'm going to add the UI swatch, Tanking's UI swatch resource to the swatch field in that custom component and type grape. Select the grape color name, which is in this named color list. And I actually don't like that color as much as this color, so I'm gonna sample the right one. I need to not hide docs, dropper on this, copy the HTML into Godot, make a new, actually eggplant maybe is better. Let's try that. Is that it actually? I think that's it. Okay, I just had the wrong color name. So yeah, save this. And this UI dialog inherited scene has code to kind of like tween itself in and out of the scene, which is why we're using that. And then there's this scrolling tile background, and we kind of build our UI dialog in this dialog root node. So for this user interface, you'll have gear up on the top, some subtext here, the coins node there, play button at the bottom. So I'm gonna make one of these nodes first. Actually, no, I'll do the easy stuff first. I'll do the labels and the button. Start with the button. I'm gonna go add nodes, and I have a button scene which I called good button, and then I have this good anchor point, which is something I want to move towards getting merged into Godot because I think it's so much better than their user interface for laying out uh, their user interface nodes. Their editor interface with rect and margin and anchor is really complicated and has a lot of issues compared to this simple three fields offset, anchor to parent, and pivot, which took me a few days to come up with this design to solve the problems, but I'm really happy with it. Works very well. So anyways, to use that on this button, I want to put its center aligns to the bottom center of this node. So that's my center. Actually, I got this wrong. Pivot 0.5. That's my center. So my vertical and horizontal center anchored to the bottom, vertical bottom. So Y is 1, horizontal center of this node. And Y1 meaning the bottom is like always bothers me in Godot. It's like it's so much more intuitive if up is positive Y, in my opinion. Maybe there's a way to switch that. I'm sure there is. Anyway, so this good button needs to be play in all caps. And it needs to be the white button, not the, needs to be our custom button that has the nice shadow, which we don't have a good, we don't have a node, or we don't have a shader to change that shadow color the way we want to. So I think that white button, how is it button new white too? That's probably it. Where have I put that before? Let me play and see if I can see the white button anywhere. I don't think we use that. It's got to be in the game. One of these dialogues. Nope. Pretty sure if I just make this local, change this to button new white 2. Oh, where's the texture for this button? Now I'm confused. You know what? Screw the shadow on that. Let's just leave it. I'll have to change that gray shadow to blue later. So now the title on the top. So this gear up and the subtext. So for the gear up, I'm going to actually go to the leaderboard, which might be called panel. Yeah, go to this label. I'm actually just going to copy this font or see which font it is, panel heading. I'm just going to copy it, which in Godot just copies it by reference, which is kind of controversial, but if you know it's doing that, it works pretty well. So now I'm going to add good label, which is again my custom label, which just has that anchor point and some scaling stuff added to it. And I'm going to paste this font, the custom fonts, and type gear up. So this is the same as the leaderboard in terms of size. It looks a lot smaller than the mock-up, but maybe that's okay. I think the line height on this is different than it is here. Oh, it's just 45 pixels down. Oh, maybe more. Actually, I think the line height, if I negative this, how does that affect? Totally does. I'm gonna undo that. That's back to normal. And I'm actually just gonna duplicate, make unique this gear up font. What's up, Ty? Can you hear me? Yeah, so I think the line spacing for this font is incorrect, which is always annoying. I'm gonna fix it. Oh, there you are. That inner shadow, it's not gonna be that hard to do. Actually, just thinking about how to implement that. Just gotta trace through Godot C++ probably, which won't be easy. But once we figure it out, we can add that. But that's something that we always struggle with to add, or it looks a lot better in the designs than what we can achieve inside of the default Godot text. But I'll get this. I think I'll just do it simply like this for now. Yeah, I think that's good enough. Nice. Yeah, totally. I knew it was there, but then I looked in the wrong place for it. Actually, why how is this different? I don't know. Is this a different scene? It's a different style, but the texture, like this brown is not, or this like yeah, it's blue instead of gray. And I'm like confused about how it's actually different. I'm just gonna, if I copy it into the loadout, see if it, yeah, it totally works. Okay, I don't know. Is this a different file? It's the same file. Theme probably. Yeah, Tank King's theme white button. Man, that's annoying. That's so annoying. Well, no, I did it this way. Like you had the white button or you uploaded the white button and I remember I think did I just isolate the button? Like I deleted everything except for button. And honestly, these themes work really well. If we got yeah. Yeah, okay. That's why I couldn't find it. I was looking for another scene. Probably the way to do that is like save another button. Instead of good button, it's called like white button. That's probably the way to do a lot of our these like theming issues and font size issues. There's definitely a way to do our specifically our file system design way better so that we can find all these things. But I'm not gonna kind of save that for project 2. So yeah, this play button, if I drag the theme onto it, it'll become the style we want. Oops, I dragged that onto the label. There we go. Is that the right font? Yeah. Let's gear up. That's like we have like slightly different placements on this and the leaderboard. Yeah. Yeah. We'll come back to it. I'll let you you can pick a font or whatever you want if you want to mess around in with this stuff after. Gear up before the match starts using the coins you've collected in the game. What if you can open this page up and buy weapons in the game? The price goes up. And you can like buy a revival even, go that far. Crazy talk. That's what I'm good at. Okay, I think this is menu fonts. So I got, what'd you say? Don't say that on stream. This font color, like a dark purple. Pretty sure if I went like black, oh, that's bad. I'll just sample it. So my left to my parents' left, and my top to my parents' top. And then offset it down 100, 100. Not bad. I like the tear mark. It's now probably, oh, the coins node. Yeah, let's put that in there. So that's in the profile UI player points. Or no, in player corner. I have this thing that has both the points and the coins. I should probably split that up. Points and rank and coins. Now these two. I'm just gonna grab it for now and put it in there without functionality. And then I can come back to it. One thing that's bad about these tools is that it doesn't integrate with the mouse dragging, which I actually tried to do in code at one point and it triggered like an infinite loop or something. So I gave up, but I should definitely make an editor plugin that would allow you to move the node around a little better. So you know what, I'm just gonna take the anchor point off and just like move it like this. The exit button, I guess we don't want that there. Close button invisible. Click outside, we probably don't want to close the dialog, so I'll disable enable background button. Okay, so these two should be fairly lined up. All right, so now I'm gonna start on one of these nodes, one of these weapon nodes, maybe the fat boy. So it's like a box, the black border, two-tone on the inside. These fonts will be the same, I believe. I think these are all the default fonts. Menu font here, plus and minus. I think I uploaded these to the repo. Do you remember file name? Up, button up. There we go. Button up focus. Okay, so, all right. Actually gonna start, I'm gonna do this in a new control, new scene. And I'm gonna change the top level to panel so that I can put style boxes on it. And then I'm gonna rename it to inventory, or no, loadout. Loadout button, UI loadout button. Style, new style box, flat. the whole thing a button? I don't think so. And in UI style box flat, go like corner radius. As far as how big this thing is, you kind of need to put some fonts in it before you can even think about that. So I'll add a label. Actually, I'll add 2 labels, or I'll do it with vertical layout group. 2 labels in a VBox. Add our theme to the top level. Tank King's theme. Now our 2 labels, top label and bottom label. And let's center this VBox with good anchor points. So horizontal center of my parents and myself. And then I think I'm going to design it around the size of the top label. So this UI loadout button is going to be way smaller than that. The labels are not center aligned. This one's going to be like fat boy. This one's going to be like weapon. Actually, you know what? Let's just call the missile nuke. Weapon. 037. This is the dark purple, the bottom. Sweet. Okay, so now to do the two-tone, I actually think I'm going to do the background dark purple, and then I'm going to do another node that's the light purple. Actually, background black. Or should that be border? Yeah, let's do the background in the purple. And with a small thin border. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to have like aliasing problems at the corners. So let's do background black, no outline. Background black, and then another 2 panels. These panels could be V layout group as well. I'm going to do full rect on both. Margins, yeah, the 8. Just start with 1 panel. So this will be like the outline size. -8. And I'm going to copy the style box into the lower panel just to get the rounded corners. Then I'm going to make unique to make sure it's not copy by reference and change it to that purple, which might be on my clipboard. It is. Okay, is this the same rounding, but I think it actually has to be less rounding, which is like this is where the I guess in Photoshop you would probably you know, have to do something like that too, hey? You just eyeball it. This one's rounding is now 32, I don't know, 28. Looks pretty good, but actually the dark purple at the top is gonna have 0. And yeah, that's the way to do that. And then margin top this thing. 30, 60, 100 probably, something like that. Then go to panel 2. And let's paste style. And make unique, make it visible. Margin bottom 100 or something. I think I gotta change the color. So this will be the pink. Now margin bottom negative 100. Yeah. Let's actually anchor this to the top. Actually, let's vertical layout group. No, let's not do that. Let's just let's see. Whenever it doesn't work, I just resort to good anchor points on both of them. I can see why I wouldn't want to do that here, so that they would automatically resize, and I think I just screwed up my margin, so I'm just gonna put it back. Yeah, don't really know what the best way is for this, but ultimately it doesn't matter as long as it works, which it will. I'm gonna restart this purple margin. I know there's like margin container, but it doesn't like help at all really. 8, top, actually 100. Panel 2, anchor to the center top, row direction bottom, which is the thing that always annoys me about Godot. Size should be just 100. Make this pink. Yeah, that's a reference style box, which I was mentioning earlier. So make unique. And the corner radiuses will be 0 at the bottom and 28 at the top. Its margins need those 8 in there. 0. Center top. Oh, it needs horizontal both because it's vertically centered. Right 0. Okay, wait. Center stretch. That thing. Top wide. 8, 8, 8. Yeah, now I instantly wish I had done it with vertical layout box. I think these -8. Yeah, at least it works. That is not the right color. Is that the same color? Oh, I like this color more. Maybe I'm just you want okay, I'll no, send me the newer concept if you have one. What was that? Use this one? Use the existing one? Alright. Okay. I'm gonna redo this completely again by putting it into this vertical layout box, which I should have done this from the start. But this is how you get good software. You like you make a mistake or you realize something you should have done differently. You just keep doing it. It always comes out good on the other side, especially if you kind of know what you're doing, which thankfully I do. Pink guy on the top. This B box just needs to be full rect, and the bottom needs to be expand vertical, and the top can just be its min size. B box separation 0. So now that's exactly the same size as the outer stuff. And then I guess I'll do margin container, which is what the Godot people like to use, but I've always really disliked it. And yeah, it doesn't expand. So this Size flags need to be like that. No. Okay. I don't know what margin container is all about. Full rect. Labels are in weird places. So to margin this, I guess, just here. Eight. The heck? This thing's like being controlled or something. 8. Oh man, Godot sometimes. Oh, this is bizarre. Because of min size on this. Yeah, so when I resize this, oh, it's the anchor point. That's totally why. I was hoisted by my own tool. Some phrase there, I can't remember what it is. There we go, finally. How close is that? Pretty close. That outline was one thing. I think maybe I can do it actually with no margin, but then expand margin on the outer node. I think that's actually going to be a little bit better, a little bit easier to use. Now the top label isn't vertically aligned. It's better, probably close enough. I think the bottom one needs to be top. It is. Could be higher. I think it's like the line spacing needs to be tight. Okay, this icon and the two buttons and the coin. Sort the coin amount. To left align this stuff. So my pivot needs to be 0, and then actually gotta do that to the weapon as well. So I'm gonna use a good label instead of label, so I can have anchor point. I think I did that to the wrong label. Anchor 0, call it weapon, type weapon. Loud motorcycle. Yeah, stolen exhaust pipe or whatever. That's brutal. Okay, so this thing, full rect. See, can't be full rect. Just needs to be the same size as parent vertically. So size flags, vertical expand. Might not do it because of the good label script. So let's try just regular label. That was the same as before. Size flags, vertical expand. Still doesn't do it. Okay, anchors. Yeah, this stuff sometimes. This Godot stuff never seems to come naturally or intuitively. This UI in particular. So the mint, I don't know why it's, yeah. In Unity, I like know how to do this stuff to get everything like sized the way I want it to, but I can never seem to master this rect controls, even though I've been using it for, a couple of years. But I kind of have my own way to do stuff, but sometimes it doesn't cover the bases you want. So you got to use their stuff, and probably makes me worse at using their stuff. My top is 0, and my left go, yeah, 0.5, and then negative 100, I think. There we go. Finally. Okay, weapon icon. I think I can kind of get that off of power-ups panel, UI power-ups. These are saved in UI power-up icon. Sweet. To benefit from the previous modular work, the UI loadout button needs a UI power-up icon in this panel. Okay, it looks pretty good already. Actually needs to be not in the vertical layout group. And then put the anchor point on it. My left goes to my parent's left. My top goes to the parent's top. Oops, keep putting it in the wrong field. Right, top is that. It's supposed to be like halfway up, yeah, or a little bit down. 32 by, no, 8, and like 8. 16. Okay, the sizing of this thing's in the wrong, not quite right. Oh, sure. Yeah, I think I have like, yeah, 4 on each side, right? There we go. And then this guy from the corner, 20 pixels. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 15 and 15. The height of the purple bar. Yeah, it totally helps. 67? And how tall is the whole thing? Yeah. Or like you can go excluding the black. Oh, okay, already had that. Guess we must have already talked about that. And how far in should the fonts be from the left side? And then the color of this font, is it the same as the panel above it? I'll check in one sec. $85. It's not this icon is not the outer layer. Yeah, the outer layer is quite scaled down. Do you want it bigger, the whole thing? Yeah, that's like not scaled. Does this thing have a min size? Probably has like a weird implicit min size. How big should this be? Down to, oh, into the 152. I think that's got it. And from the left, what's that? It doesn't, the whole thing I guess still looks off. I think this line height is really kind of screwing things up. Your weapon needs to be anchored to the top of this. Top is 1. Top is 0. That needs to be on the coins. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds good. I think, is this the default font? Yeah, it is. The line height is not quite right, but if I change it, it's going to relay out everything. So I think I've just got to slightly move stuff. Yeah. Now for these up and down buttons, pretty much have to do it in a theme to override the previous button, the default style. So I'll call this loadout button theme. I guess loadout button theme up. Yeah, different one for up and down. Now I gotta do add class items for button. Styles. I think it's probably gonna be easiest to do this in a new scene. I'm gonna go save branches scene, UI nodes, and I'll call it UI loadout button up. And then I gotta rename it here. And so the theme on this thing, it's ultimately gonna be like nested within the default theme so you can override stuff, but I'm gonna actually start from scratch and then ignore the label. I guess on the label I could put the default theme. There's only going to be actually there's going to be no label, so plus and minus. Do you want me to do plus and minus with the font tie, or do you think? You sent plus. Minus? Nice. Do you remember what the file name of the up and down button up? There it is. Yeah, you can't highlight, you can't inspect this style box from a node. It's like a bug in Godot. I have to like go to the theme. So we gotta record that in our list of problems. So I gotta go to loadout theme and then I can inspect this. And now it's called button up. Okay, if I go to I think I need to do this, the size of it. There has to be like constant. It doesn't scale the way I want it to. I think I don't do this with the theme actually at all. Do I want to? No, I'll try it without the theme. So then I'm gonna change the type of the root. Remove the script first of all. Change the type of the root to flat button or tool button, which has no styling. And then I'm gonna add a texture rect, full rect, and put the texture in here with keep aspects centered. Put it behind the plus. And now when you scale the outer layer, it has a minimum size, probably because of something bizarre with this line height. which is super annoying. It's like, is there like a base? I don't even think, yeah, you can't instantiate base button. Pretty sure this this aspect of Godot's really annoying. I can't like go smaller than this size. Smaller than, okay, is that just because of this min size? There we go. Okay, I can. Yeah, so this will scale itself up and down and maintain its aspect ratio, which works pretty well. Now Ty just sent me a color. So this swatched hover tint, yeah, this we can put the blue button style to it just by dragging this swatch onto it, and then it'll look like this. Hold on, this isn't working. The target of it. Apply it to tint children, I think. Then it's gonna tint the icon. Tint children. I need to like exclude. I know we can like write a shader that doesn't get tinted, but that's obviously, I think that's like mega overkill to do. So this thing almost needs to like apply to a different target. Actually, I think it supports that. Okay, that'll actually be perfect. Put this back. That's like a library I wrote, that color library I wrote probably like a year and a half ago or longer. But yeah, it has this target node property. So instead of applying to its parent, I can make it apply to this. And then when I type normal here, yeah, that'll have the same colors as the other blue buttons, which is probably good. Hey, Ty? Sweet. Is there any other? No, I don't need anything else. So the plus, is the size right? Like between the plus and the, and do you know what size the vertical, or what size horizontally? 187 by 138. I'll just do that one. Yeah, I just want the size, native size of the node. Maybe I don't want the expand setting. Okay, now, sweet. Kind of looks like they're like squeezed together vertically, like versus the, yeah. I think if I make these two smaller, that'll have that effect. No, it won't. So check out, I have a hack that'll fix it, but yeah, what were you saying? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. So this thing essentially needs to have the same, like it needs to be centered around the where you want them to align, like centered around the plus and minus. I think if we pad the texture rect, you can actually achieve that so that they did align. Like I think the bottom, actually if I increase this like 180, this thing needs to be locked to the center, which it is. That's the middle. Oh, it needs to be locked to the center. No, okay, it needs to be a child of that. But then that's gonna tint it. Then if this is not tint children, I think I gotta reset that. And yeah, then do that. Okay, so that's always centered on the image. And the height of this, guys, mm, hmm. I'm gonna stick with texture rect. I think there's a alternative, but get these to align together. I think it's gonna be kind of awkward. I'll see what this does. That there. Actually, I'm gonna do this just by positioning it more manually. Yeah, yeah, cool. Nice. Yep, I think we're pretty good. Getting closer. I see you, Ty. Yep. So I'm gonna take this out of the H box and replace it with just a control in order to be able to then position this stuff more manually. And I'm gonna move this one up, let's say 16. So that's negative 16, which always drives me nuts. And move this one down 16. But then the plus and the minus need to be lined up. You know what, man? Maybe maybe I'm just not gonna get those perfectly lined up. Maybe I need to crop them more like this. Yeah. Because if I want to, I need to know to do it properly, which is what I just decided to not do. I need the asset to have as much padding here as it has here so that they can be aligned that way. You know what, screw it. I'm just going to put it back to vertical or horizontal layout group and leave it like that and move on. So the X1 looks kind of wrong, but it's close enough. I need the 1 in the middle. I think I need to make a new box for this as well. It's not going to be a button. It's just going to be a panel. And custom styles. Sidebox flat, in size. It's 138 tall. Could be like 138 wide. Way too big. 100 by 100 with needs to be in the middle. So is that size flag thing? I think so. 100, 100. And I mean, this is my issue with Godot. There's so many ways to achieve center. Like there's like size flags, shrink center, grow direction, both. And that's both for X and Y dimensions. And then there's like X and Y in the margin and anchors. So it's just the inspector is not optimized for workflow. It's like a powerful set of controls, but it's not, it's designed from like a programmer's perspective. Like it's designed how the Canvas server works or something. It's not designed to like be mouse navigatable and things like that. Like there's this, which you can like, I know a lot of people get by with exact coordinate positioning, but that's something I'm trying not to do and something that's like almost always advisable to not do. And when you resort to using that like exact, this is positioned here and it grows in an unspecified way and isn't constrained. When you go to like localize your game, your layout is completely destroyed. So you have to, to get around that, it's really tough. So these like good labels, like all these good labels here, for example, weapon, if we translate it to uh, like Brazilian Portuguese, it's super long. So this is actually going to eventually scale down. There we go. So I have to add these margins, like right margin needs to be however far it is off to the left, some number. Anyways, I have a scaling label to solve that problem. The values aren't set up properly, but it's a hard thing to do if you don't lay your layout out really, like with H boxes, V boxes, min size, size flags. So that's just one of my things that I hope to improve in Godot is this inspector, like this process for laying out controls. Okay, so back to what I was doing, which is designing this uh, icon here that'll have how much inventory you have of this weapon. So it'll be like a box. Is this on screen? It is. So this is white box, black outline, black font. That's gonna be the menu theme, menu font. So I'm gonna put menu. I'm gonna add a label with a 1 in it. And like I could do a good label so it would scale down if you had 20,000 of this item. You know what? We better do that. We better go straight to the heavy hitter, the good label. And it scales implicitly down in the size of the container, which is good. And you can add margin. So it can be like margin 4, 4 on left and right, and then it'll leave a 4 pixel margin. And you can see it would be right if the character spacing was perfect, but it's not, and the line height's way too big, but I digress. So BG color white, outline border, border color black, border width like a small number, maybe 2. Corner detail 20, I wish I could put that on infinity. Corner radius 4444 maybe. That's probably way too small. Let's try 1212. Whoa. More border. Let's try 8. Too much. Just gotta match this guy next to it. Pretty close. Menu font on this label. Does menu font have a shadow now? I did not think it had shadow. Does it have to be menu theme? Menu theme doesn't have a shadow. Like ultimately, I think in Godot, you have to base your UI components, like your fonts, your buttons, your everything around theme. Like you want your button style in a theme. You want your fonts in a theme. You don't want to do custom font. You don't want to do custom style. You want to do everything through theme. Because then it has this cascading override. But the really annoying thing is there's no filtering and sorting through themes besides the file name. So in order to like organize your themes, you would need to do it with like folder structure and file name structure. At least with like the styles, there's a type. So you can kind of filter for type on certain searches. The theme inspector, I think, could be if you fully redesign the UI for Godot and you made the theme editor way better and the UI editor way better, you would have a really powerful, very powerful engine, very powerful UI engine with animations and tweening and all that good stuff, which is not perfect in Godot, but at least it has something, which Unity has like nothing. There's just DoTween. Every time I install DoTween, I'm like, Unity is missing a huge piece. But DoTween plus shapes by Ace Gikmo, what's her name? Developer of shapes, Homer, Stella Homer. That's coming to my head. I don't know. Freya? No, no, no. I don't know her name. Anyways, the shapes library for Unity is really good, and I'm kind of jealous of not having it in Godot. Okay, we're getting pretty close on this node. I could probably go pretty close to scripting it soon. So I got to make an API for it, and the API is going to have like what type it is, how many there are, and then based on the type, which will be an enum, the name, the type, and the coin cost will all be dynamically updated. So you can like make a node, set its type to Fatboy, and it'll apply all this other stuff. So I think once I have that, and I guess I'll need max counts. Now I can just count to infinity. Yeah, well, there'll be a cost. Okay, so let's start. Let's just eventually. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine. I'm basically imagining what the gear up script, like the whole node script, is going to look like. But starting here, I think we're pretty close to having this. I just need a simple API to match type to the data. And I'm going to do that through like const dictionaries written into GDScript, not with any dynamic data, but by doing it that way, it's super simple, and then we can go straight to like networking it or like cloud integrating it to make it, go the full way when we get there. But right now, UI loadout button just needs a simple API on it. So I'm going to go to my UI scripts folder, new script, call it the same thing, UI loadout button, find it in the file system. It's got to be a better workflow to just adding a script to a node, drag it onto there, Class name, UI loadout, capital O, button. It's going to have an export, so yeah, the power up type. So in UI power ups, or UI power up icon. Yeah, okay, you can export enums from a different class. That is really good. Export power up type dot power up. And actually we have like in this power up class, I have power up image map. You know what? We might as well put all the maps in the same folder. So we're gonna have power up type map, weapon or perk. Or should I put that into this array? Where is that array? Power up type. This shouldn't be here. I've definitely decided that this is an icon script. But in power up type, with power up types with ammo, power up types with elixir, well, everything's gonna have ammo right now. So it's always gonna be weapon. There's actually gonna be no perks, so I don't even need to, let's not even script that. But the cost of things, should it all be, where to put the cost of stuff? You know what, let's make it all the same costs right now. Should I do that? Yeah, everything the same cost. I wanna design it so that the next stage is easy. Put all the code into the next piece. Eventually this data is going to be pulled from like our cloud backend. So there's going to be a query that happens and it's going to give us the data for all of them. And then we want to apply the data to each of them. So each of these can be created with like a JSON dictionary. I mean, all you need is the cost. This is the only cloud thing. You know what? Let's do them all the same no costs, no implementation of cost until we have that query, or even design the cloud data first. So let's imagine everything's the same cost. So as far as the parent script goes, yeah, should it just apply that stuff? I mean, I did the other UI like this with a tool script that applied it in the editor. I mean, I only need these top four right now. Maybe I don't even write a script for this node. I just do the onReadies. Sometimes when I don't want to really script this node, but I want to like encapsulate it, I'll just write a script that just grabs children so that a parent script can then like operate on them. I'm just gonna kind of rename stuff. Bottom panel. This thing's gonna be like weapon name. This one's gonna be coins label. This one's gonna be weapon type. Yep. Let's just call this name. Actually, no, weapon name is better. Like they're not weapons, they could be weapons or perks. So on ready var, I'm just gonna call it weapon name label. I like to put the type at the end of every variable name. And this is just encapsulates those node paths. Coins name, coins label. I don't know why I have name in the scene tree there. I don't. I just misread something. My eyes played tricks on me. Unready var, the icon definitely needs to be encapsulated. Power up icon is that. plus button and the minus button. Now this thing should control its quantity, or should it? It should control its animations of the buttons, which they have slight animations, and quantity. I guess it could have max and min amounts. That's going to change based on how much you've already spent. So I'm going to put all of the scripting into the parent. It's all like each button's really connected to the rest of every other button and how much like each quantity is connected to all the other quantities. So I can't really script this individual node that deeply. I'm going to have to tie them all together in the parent. So this is going to be a quantity label. And I'm going to copy that node path, which is a nice tool. Put it into there. Again, if there was a tool that could like, you could copy node path and, or you could like drag and drop it to make this more complicated, like the ultimate way to write this stuff like these hard-coded node paths are not that great, but if you did export node path var, and then I like to do this convention where I underscore the real variable's name, so like make a shadow variable for this weapon name label, and then you drag and drop that path here to weapon name. This is the ultimate interface for your modular scripts in Godot. Because then when you rename, if I rename this thing, weapon name, rename it to weapon name 2, it's still mapped. It remaps it. But in here, this reference is now broken. But it's really annoying to write these export node paths for coins label, power up icon, plus button, minus button, quantity label, and then go drag and drop and apply them all. It's really annoying to do that. So I don't do it a lot of the time. And I like these hard-coded node paths, these $ node paths. Every single time you see them in any project, they are something that could break, something that could at runtime not be mapped to anything. Based on scene tree, somebody changes the name of something, which is an Achilles heel ultimately, but it's fast to do. So if you optimize the better workflow, you could have more resilient software. Even here, like icon, power up icon, this is actually a broken node path. Just noticed, which would have sucked to hit play and have that happen. It seems weird it's at the top level, but it is where it's supposed to be. And this one I can actually map to a type. These ones are buttons. Advantage of putting the type in everywhere so that you can not forget what it is. Okay, so now that this is exposed like that, I can do all the signal connecting and everything from the parent, and I can even set the power up icon. So now back in the loadout dialog, which is what we're working towards, I can instantiate all the children, but I didn't map the type. Okay, UI power up icon. Oh, sorry, UI loadout button. This thing has power up type here. And if I do it with tool script, it is going to be probably the best. Okay, so here's where the const maps come in. So I think weapon name is not the, the power-ups don't have names in the system anywhere, I don't think. except for the enum name. Yeah, I think I'm gonna put the names, all the data just in this enum class. This like really simple static class. So I'll do power up names, and then I'll map each one of these. Let me make sure I didn't do that already in UI power ups, which has this. That's an UI power up icon. Opening the scene, not the script. I think this could probably be in the same static class. It's like all the power up data is in this single GD script, but I don't want to refactor that right now. Power up dot that boy is nuke, and things should be all caps. It's like this will all have to be torn out at least for localization, if not cloud integration. But at least this single file can kind of be a centralized place for data. We don't even have a jetpack in the game, but good reminder that we should implement that weapon. We actually did have a jetpack. Actually, when I first started working on this game, Jordan had implemented a jetpack and no jump. Or there was a jump, I think. But I definitely focused on the jump. I think I took out the jetpack as well. Do we call that the triple shot? Yep. Maybe a cooler name than triple shot exists. Builder and water. All right, I'll complete the map, even though I don't know if that stuff's gonna be used. Like water's only in there for the kill feed. So power up names, type. We don't have any buffs yet or perks. The cost. Yeah, okay, guess I'll do cost. Not all this stuff's gonna be buyable. You know what? No cost. No cost. Too much work to do everything at once. So loadout button, UI loadout button. This is going to be a tool, and it's going to apply the name and the icon based on the power up type with a setter. This is going to be tool. This is going to be set get set power up type. And this is going to connect even the editor, the inspector, to this function. When you change power up type, which is an int, it's going to call this. Then we'll do self dot, we'll actually apply it. Equals p. And we'll use that map. So we'll go to the weapon name label dot text equals power up type, which is where I put all the hard coded data for this. Dot power up names dot get p. Yeah. And default value empty string. Actually, let's put power up type in there instead of p, so it's a little clearer. And power up icon. This has a power up type setter as well. So now if this is equal to power up type, that'll like cascade down to the icon. And so it's going to change the name and the icon. Now in these setters, this one thing that's really kind of annoying is there's two problems with them, with these tool scripts. I think that has to be at the very top. And that's, this can get called during initialization. So when it deserializes this node from like a saved scene, it'll be not inside the tree, and it'll try to access weapon name label and power up icon, but they won't be there because they're part of this on ready. Like the tool doesn't connect to onReady node paths that well. And the onReady statement or declaration doesn't apply. So sometimes this setter will get called and this will be null and it'll render a null error in the output, which is really annoying and to have. My output is like super laggy right now, which is interesting. So if you wrap your setters with if is inside tree, then you can avoid that from happening. And if you want to make them really resilient to like the script, uh, compilation breaking or being added and removed, you have to add this func init and reapply these variables. Weapon names label, coins label, all the onReady node paths. You want to get them again in a init. And that's how you make your tool script really resilient. But I'm not going to do that. But I'm pretty sure what that means will happen is when I go back to loadout dialog, I don't have a single one in here yet, so this actually won't happen. But if I had already had a UI loadout button here, and changing the power up missile wouldn't work. Let's see, okay, it actually still doesn't work. That's supposed to apply to the children, and the size is like 0. So I think for the size, I have to go to loadout button and add a min size to be exactly the same size. It's like, I feel like Godot should default to having one size and you should opt in to having two sizes, but I digress. So UI loadout dialog should now have a not so borked up node. And invalid set index null. So this might be that problem. That's actually happening all the time. So I'm actually going to close all the scenes and reopen the dialog. Yeah, okay, still happening. Close that scene again. Ammo/ammo label as part of the UI power up icons. Know how I said that thing was going to cascade? It seems like, oh, I deleted the ammo labels off this. That's right, and that's because I don't want to render ammo label. Do I not want the ammo label? Let me see here. It's for this node. Kind of do want it. So in the game we have this ammo label, but in the mockup we have this one, like a little top right thing, and I think the one in the mockup's better. So I'm actually just gonna change the ammo label, which that tool script turns on and off. So this is gonna have no panel. My headset just made a really horrible noise and turned off. I guess because I haven't talked and it's because I'm not listening to anything. I'm gonna just duplicate the font, the main font, and size it down for this. Baloo 3. That's better. Baloo 32. Like, yeah, we definitely need like organization of our fonts. Like Baloo 32, Baloo 16, Baloo 8. Probably not that small, but font name plus size. And then you wonder like, well, should it be semantic, like menu font, large font, stuff like that? But I think just for the fonts, just file names, and then use the themes for that decentralization or that like uh the semantics of what the node is. So that ammo label path is definitely hard coded in here, and the ammo parent is kind of not going to be used anymore. So like I did that init. Look at that. That's exactly what I was just talking about. Annoying thing you must do to reload on ready variables in tool scripts, and it even uses the is inside tree, and it looks like I mapped it with or filtered it for editor hint as well, and the ready. So this is an older tool script where I think I went a little more hardcore on it, but it does work very well. Now there's this like self.ammo, yeah, this thing, turning it, making it invisible. Needs to be that. This needs to be the same thing. There might still be. Okay, no, I think I got rid of all the null references that'll be in there. So now on the dialog, loadout dialog, I should be able to change the type. And it definitely still doesn't work, so output. UI power up icon line 48. Ammo label does not exist. Looks pretty simple to me. That because it's a tool script, I'm gonna reload Godot because sometimes those references get broken, especially if the game is having it like being recompiled. Still not doing anything. So something else wrong. Must use power up type. Oh, I did a recursive setter. Yeah. In set power up type, in order to have it apply to the serialized variable, you have to actually write, you know, power up type equals p. But if you put self here, it calls the setter again and recurses, and that's what this did. And then it compilation failed, which I actually think is breaking that tool script process. So that's why reloading the whole project should fix that, if that's what the problem was. So in loadout dialog, okay, still something wrong. Do not find ammo label on power up icon. I think I am using a custom version of it here that I deleted. Yeah, I totally just deleted the ammo label off of it. If I just add it back from the original. Okay, wait, what is going on here? Okay, this works now, I believe. Does not, is it this one? Delete that, there we go. If I change this, okay, that works. It's turning the ammo label on and off. And now when I do this, it should do the same thing, but I think I gotta reload that. This is why you do the init, because if you do that init I wouldn't have to do this. UI loadout button. Oh, it looks like it's working, except not to the icon now. Oh, the UI power up icon is the wrong path. And that it won't fetch it, won't refetch it. So UI loadout button, reload it again. And now it's all working. Okay, so on the dialog, we're going to, this thing should work. Doesn't. Oh, maybe it does. It does work. Now I can go ahead with the lion's share of the layout, which is going to be one horizontal layout box. Four of these in it. First one's going to be triple shot. Second one is the nuke. Third one is the mine, and fourth is the shield. And the separation's got to be a lot bigger than that. Probably want this thing to center aligned and then expand horizontally, which I'm just going to do center wide, I think. There we go. I kind of want all these things to expand, like fill, like evenly fill the area, which, yeah, that actually does do that. Actually, I don't want them to expand, I want the spacing to expand, which I can't easily do, so I'm just gonna not, basically not do that. Center wide. There is going to be two of these, but there isn't two rows yet. It always looks so much worse in the implementation than the mock-up. It takes a lot of work to get it as good as the mock-up. The heck? Why is this thing size really small? I think I just want this thing to grow infinitely, not have a max size at all. Okay, why is that thing not in the right place? The I'm actually just gonna add a new label. Something seems wrong with that one. Actually, if this thing was this, the default control size is 40/40, and it has mouse on block here, which is so when I like add a control to just be like a folder, like a node holder, um, that 40 enters into the scene tree. And if it was 0, which I think should be the default, this good labels fit inside parent wouldn't apply at all because it would be like you can't scale this to be size 0. So it would have ignored it. But because is this actually working now? I think it is. Yeah, I don't know what was wrong with those previous labels, but I do know if the control was at size 0 and created with size 0, wouldn't have had that problem, which is another thing on my Godot fix list. Your starting loadout. But a space kind of always triggers me if there's like a space in the label at the end. I'm not going to do that, and then I'm going to move the label over, manually space it out. Okay, we're pretty close to the mock-up. There's a lot of implementation to do. I hit the play on the scene button here. All of my focus states is going to need to be done in the theme. And those power-ups are all at 0 visibility. I think that's because that UI power-up icon is coded to run a gameplay. So it's actually like looking for the local player having ammo, and then it's setting itself to invisible if the local player's not in the game. So the whole script, this is annoying. This is the I've got to split this script into two pieces now. The part that controls the icon and the part that like controls the gameplay logic of like whether it's turned on and off or displaying how much ammo is left or if it's available. I've got to split those two pieces out. And the easier way to do that right now is definitely go to this UI loadout button and like duplicate the UI power up icon. It's going to be like make local. Actually, I need to do it no matter what. No matter what I do, I need to change the script. There's no duplication I can do. I could completely code clone the script, but I think probably the better way, and yeah, I hid that tank game dependency by doing get viewport find node, which is kind of anti-pattern because of this problems like this. Um, if there's no tank game, maybe just don't set yourself to invisible. Where is it? Where is it setting itself to? Oh, it sets itself to invisible off the start. You know what? We're only going to do that if there is a tank game. Literally one line of code fixes that whole architectural problem and then, adds to the problem. Well, debatable. Debatable whether that's a good decision or not. Really depends on success of the project. That's really how you judge every decision, right? So now when I hit play, those things shouldn't disappear. Yeah, they still do. UI power up icon, invalid set index, something with the tool script. So this thing can't find a game. Shouldn't set itself to invisible there. And it shouldn't set itself to invisible there. The missile it would. Are these all on missile? They're definitely not. They all look like they're on missile. In Elixir. I think that this is... It's just not getting to self that... It's not setting itself to true. Actually, this whole thing needs to be... If you have access to the game. Okay, they're all missile. You know what? I'm just gonna set it in ready. Like if I don't have this if is inside tree, you know what? Oh, is that what that editor hint? Let's try this. You can tell I'm a really good programmer based on myself being used by my own code, my own system. Yeah, so this is the thing that like is inside tree avoids. But now when I hit play, does it line up properly? It definitely does not. And there's no call stack to this exception, which I think means it's on instantiation. So I'm going to keep that there. And I'm going to duplicate these two lines of code in ready. Tool scripts are so buggy. Oh, I'm hitting the wrong play. The power up icon didn't apply. It's because the readies apply in reverse order, like the child applies first. There's no setter on this. All right. Finally. Yeah, that was a lot of working around annoying problems in tool scripts, which, yeah, like I said before, I kind of like have the solutions on hand, but you always have to, you like kind of choose, like, do I implement this init right now, this annoying code clone, or do I not do it? Because once you get all this stuff set up in the scene tree, ultimately it's serialized and saved, and it's like, okay, that works. But it's the process of building it where stuff breaks in those tool scripts. And that looks like, okay, this is not the same position that I wanted it to be in. I believe it was 15 units. That looks pretty good. And I think it needs to be bigger, which is probably why I made it local in the first place. Maybe it should just be bigger across the whole game. In fact, it probably should be. Nodes are really tiny. I can't remember what the size was that we picked, but let's go with like 150. That looks not bad. I think the icons just might need to be bigger. It looks like, oh, it is transparent. Oh, that's the game code again. I think I need to remove that. I need to, that thing earlier, I was like, yeah, you can just hack this script up a little bit further. Bad decision. Well, it's all part of the journey, but now I've got to undo that and add a new script, which looks like this one's UI power up icon like in the game. And I need like a dumber version that doesn't do the button toggling stuff that it does at gameplay. Which that's like normal hover pressed, and this thing, does it have toggle mode? It does. Yeah. Okay, I gotta use the bathroom, but this thing's getting close. It's 5:01. Maybe it's a good time to call it. This thing is close to working. And yes, when I looked at this UI, I knew it was going to be a lot of work. I'm happy with the progress that I made. Definitely took a long time, as these things do. Kind of working through problems through it. And the last 90% of this is definitely going to make it look a lot better. And I've got all the scripting to do, mapping all the data and all that stuff. So I think I'll stream the scripting as well, in case people are interested. This is my first real long dev stream, so hopefully it wasn't too bad. But talking and coding at the same time is definitely hard. So thanks for stopping in. See you guys later.